are now listening to The Sports Report with your host, Josh Dow.
What's up, guys? This is the Sports Report. I am your host, Josh Dow. I hope everyone's having a great first week of April. It doesn't really feel like April out there, but I promise you it's April. This year's going by crazy fast already. I don't know about you guys, but this year is just insane. Like, it's already baseball season. NCAA tournament wrapped up really quick. We're a couple weeks, 3 weeks or so away from the draft. I mean, there's a ton of things going on. Plus, you have NBA playoffs. If you're a hockey fan, I am not even going to pretend like I know a lot about hockey. But the playoffs for that will be starting soon. So there's a lot going on. And we'll kick off the headlines section.
This is the Sports Report, news and headlines.
With the season that just wrapped up, the NCAA tournament just finished. Monday night, Villanova are your national champions. Villanova went off on Michigan. More importantly, DiVincenzo went off on Michigan. Kid went for 31. Nova won 79-62. Honestly, from the beginning, beginning of the tournament, I'll say, Nova looked like the strongest team. I had them winning the tournament in the majority of my brackets, in the bracket that I went over on here with you guys. The rest of my bracket was an absolute dumpster fire. I mean, wasn't even close. But I picked the national champions. My Cinderella team, if you guys remember from a few weeks ago, Loyola Chicago, made it to the Final Four. So you got to take small wins. You know, you're not going to have a perfect bracket. Of the 10 million, you're not going to, have the best, or the likelihood of you having the best is minuscule. So take your small wins. You picked the national champion. You had a Cinderella team do well for you that you picked. I'm happy. Congratulations to Villanova. They covered every single spread in the tournament. That was something that was really impressive to me. I think besides the national championship game, they were, I think, -5 or -7. I can't remember. I want to say they were -5 when I got in. They were also -4.5 in the Final Four against Kansas and dominated both games. They just they got stronger as the tournament went on, and Michigan got out to a quick 7-point lead after, the first 9 minutes. Villanova said this is enough and then finished the game 65-41 run, giving them a huge 17-point win. The second half was almost really non-competitive. I didn't watch too much of the second half. I didn't watch a lot of the first half either, just because I was watching the Sox game. But I flipped back and forth a good bit, and in the second half, it just seemed like, even though the last 4 minutes were 100% Nova, but even though it was back and forth, like the first 16 minutes of the second half, you could just tell Michigan there was just nothing they could do. Nova was just a better team. DiVincenzo went bananas. Fun fact about DiVincenzo for Villanova, he's a sophomore. He will be a junior next year. But I was listening to, I want to say Nick Wright. I was listening to Nick Wright, and he said DiVincenzo was known as the Michael Jordan of Delaware. And I don't know if that's true, but I surely hope so, because being the Michael Jordan of anything is awesome. So if he's the Michael Jordan of Delaware, going for 31 in a national championship game, makes sense. So he's probably going to be, he'll definitely be probably preseason all Big East next year. Maybe get some looks for All-American, especially if he gets more minutes. I mean, didn't get a ton of minutes this year. He was more of a bench guy, not because he wasn't good enough. Villanova was just stacked. So let's see how he does next year, and I hope we hear more about the MJ from Delaware, because if that's the truth, everyone in every game, that should be mentioned, because that's awesome. Moving on to some baseball. Like I said, baseball season is underway. We had the first weekend under the belt. We've had a few games this week as well, obviously. The Sox, as of right now, are 5-1. And they're 5-1, and their bats are not very good. They are not looking good hitting. Benintendi doesn't look good. Mookie Betts doesn't look great. Really, the only one hitting on the team is Xander Bogaerts, who, if you would have told me out of those three who would be slumping, Bogaerts would probably be my pick. But Bogaerts has this new approach. He really got into the idea of launch angles and some of these other metrics that baseball players especially know about, exit velo, launch angle, stuff like that improves average, improves home runs, which we probably, before I knew that he got into this heavily, the launch angle stuff, which is, I don't want to say, so this is how a lot of announcers are going to explain it. It's like hitting the bottom of the baseball to lift the ball. The launch angle and exit velocity at a certain angle allows for more home runs, basically. In the simplest of simple terms, if I would have known that a month ago, that Xander was big into this and was working at it, my numbers for Xander would probably be a little bit more inflated, because if he is a great player, and if executing the new approach with the launch angle in mind, he's going to have a great season, and we're seeing it already. Last game he didn't do so hot, but I mean, he can't have 3 doubles every game or whatever he had opening night or whatever it was. So through the first 4 games, I don't know what the average is now, but I do know after the Rays series, their batting average as a team was .214. Not very good. They looked better in game 1 against Miami. Miami's not a very good team. And then last night, they went into extra innings and started hitting the ball towards the 12th, 13th, 14th inning, ultimately won. Here's the thing, though. That game should have never went into extra innings. You have bad base running. One instance, this might have been in extra innings. I can't remember exactly. JBJ gets thrown out at home. You have Devers getting thrown out at third on a ball back to the pitcher, which you never go on that. Even if you're off on contact, it's got to be past the pitcher. So that game should have never went into extra innings, but that's that's promising. Bullpen held well enough to get the game 2 extras to basically shut them down in extras. They had a lead one time, gave up a double, threw the winning run out at home, so defense helped as well. So really, defense pitching looks fantastic for the Sox. They get their bats turned around. They're a really, really good team. The thing that scares me the most is if it does take them a little while to get to form, we're looking at an offense that is going to struggle to score 3 runs. Not all season. I mean, if that is the case, there needs to be a new approach, a new hitting coach. I mean, I don't know what they got to do. They definitely can't bat .214 as a team. I know that. Houston, they're playing right now. I don't know, or they were. No, they're probably over now. As far as I know, they were 6-1, so either 7-1 or 6-2. But they just look like the best team again. They look like the best team again, other than a 1-loss, 5-1 to Texas. I think they lost to the Rangers. I mean, they just look like the best team. They can out hit you. They can out pitch you. I mean, it looks like. I mean, Bregman's playing well. Altuve's batting out of his head. Correa is batting out of his mind right now. I mean, right from the get-go, they pedal to the floor, dominating. So, they look like the best team to me right now. They look like the best team. There's only one undefeated team right now, and that's the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pittsburgh's 4-0. Had a couple, I don't know if they were cancellations or the weather. I'm assuming up in Pittsburgh's not super great, so they've had a couple games postponed. But I'm a little shocked that the Buccos are 4-0. I mean, if you're a fan of the show for over the past year, in the beginning, my co-host Joel is a huge Pittsburgh Pirates fan, born and raised in Pittsburgh. We were talking and we were saying they're going to win, if they're lucky, 70 games. And here they are 4-0. Now, they're 4-0. He said, watch, they'll be 10-30 in a couple months. I don't know. I am impressed with the way they can hit the ball. Can they sustain it? I don't know. I don't think the Pirates are going to be as bad as people think. No, I don't think they're going to be in the playoffs. No, they're definitely not going to win the division. But third in that division might be where they sit, behind a Cubs team, a Brewers team, or a Cubs team and a Cardinals team. You don't really know. So they could surprise some people. But if you were going to tell me after the first week and the Buccos would be the only team left as the undefeated team, I think I'd probably laugh literally right in your face. Like you're on something. But they are. Ohtani, the Japanese Babe Ruth, has made appearances at the plate. He has also pitched one game. He pitched on Sunday. Didn't look great. Showed potential to really be good. It's just a matter of adjusting now. The MLB is a different animal. It's not like nothing against the Japanese league, but it's very different. In terms of, like, for an example, if a pitcher pitched Division II and the next season transferred and went Division I, there would be an adjustment period. I mean, you're facing better talent in most cases. So, he's going from, even a competitive Division II program, he's going to the big leagues now. He's going SEC baseball, or he's going Big 12 baseball, ACC baseball. That's a huge jump for somebody. So he'll figure it out. He's got the stuff. He's got the makeup to figure it out. I'm just worried about early on. If he doesn't figure it out early on, does he have the strength to keep pushing forward, trust his stuff later in the season and figure some things out, make the adjustments. He did hit his first home run. 3-run shot, I believe. Other than that, though, I think he's going to be more of a force. The one thing that's good for him is, regardless of what he does. So, for instance, if he does great at the plate, not so great on the mound, he's a DH. Doesn't do great at the plate, pitches well on the mound or has promise, he'll be in the rotation. It's not like, Tanaka, if he just blows up and just not good, he's just not good. He's not going to have a spot. So, I mean, he's got some options because he's so versatile and has the skills to do all that. So, it's a long baseball season, as everybody knows. It's a long season. Really, you can't really tell what's going to happen until probably Memorial Day. You could see the Pirates could be in first place for most of April, maybe even to the middle of May. And then you start seeing, we start getting around to the summer, the dog days of summer. But definitely by Memorial Day, you'll start to see who's the front runners, players that are playing well. So that's usually my first point, is how's everybody doing at Memorial Day? And then kind of go from there, make adjustments for picks, trades for fantasy, stuff like that from there. But I'm just happy baseball's back. Some football news. Really, really, really weird situation with the Patriots. And let's talk Gronk first. Let's talk Gronk first. So, because it leads into what actually happened, and I'm sure everyone knows by now. Gronk, everybody knows he's talked about retirement, talked about, is it worth putting my body on the line, blah, blah, blah. He's voiced that he's mentally and physically tired. Mentally, physically drained. Belichick, apparently, I don't know how true this is, but this is from what I understand, is tired of the antics, tired of the social media posts, tired of, I guess, the whole Gronk persona. It's not Belichick. They're not the same person. They're not the same, they're not cut from the same cloth. Not the same generation, not the same personality. So there's going to be instances like that. The rumor is that Gronk is supposed to return but still could retire. Then there was a rumor Gronk's going to be traded. Then, within 2 weeks, he's going to be out. And then the Patriots trade Brandon Cooks. Patriots trade Brandon Cooks to the Rams for the 23rd pick. They also traded a 4th for a 6th. So, I mean, that's just basically just added fuel to the fire, really. There's nothing really important about those picks, just kind of swap in there. But that trade from reports from, Adam Schefter and all these analysts basically calls off all of the Gronk trade rumors, which is crazy. Like, Gronk's going to get traded. Gronk's going to move. And it wasn't like, it was within 24 hours that I saw Gronk will be out within the next couple weeks to Brandon Cooks has been traded to the Rams. Gronk is going to stay in New England. Like, that was quick. And from what I hear, there was a coaching convention. So obviously all the coaches there, the Rams coaching staff, I don't know if it was the head coach or not, but the coaching staff and Belichick, I guess, were talking at the convention, and obviously, ground broke, and they decided that this was the trade to make, and it happened. Which is crazy because I really thought the Rams were going to go after OBJ, which they were. They were going after OBJ, and I thought for sure they were going to add him to that super team they're trying to build or have built. But they just wanted too much. The rumor was the Rams weren't going to pay what they wanted, and they wanted Brandon Cooks before all of this. So, there's been talks for a while, I guess, about Cooks being traded to the Rams. So, it seems kind of sudden, and it caught me off guard right away. But then when I looked into it, Pats and the Rams kind of have been in talks for a little bit. I knew that the Giants were going to want everyone and every pick for OBJ. So, really not that surprising. Really not that surprising. Speaking of Odell, still rumors that he's going to be traded. But if the price is too steep, what are they asking for? My thought was for OBJ, they would want a first-round pick packaged with additional picks or another player or something of that sort. I really thought we were going to see first round pick, so the 23rd pick from the Rams, a fourth, and Cooper Kupp, something like that, to the Giants, which is very similar, minus Cooper Kupp, that the Patriots got. So if they're there, I haven't looked to see, but I would imagine they want maybe multiple first rounders, which is steep for a guy like Odell. Great player, but not exactly the most level-headed. So whatever team decides to go for Odell, not only do you have to basically sell the farm, as they say, but on top of that, you're going to have to pay the man, what? I would say north of $16 million a year. He wants to get paid. I saw some reports say that he could be close to $20 million a year. That's a lot of coin. That's a lot of coin for this guy. So what I did was I was thinking, who is willing to pay that? So I came up with teams before the trade yesterday, and I can only think of three. I've seen rumors of the Ravens, the Titans, I mean, basically every team wants Odell, but I think they're more far-fetched than the three that I have. And the first one I thought were the front runners were the Rams, and a lot of people thought that, but they're out. They got Cooks. They're out. The next was the 49ers. 49ers need to keep pace with the Rams that are building their super team. They have their franchise guy now. They have Jimmy G. So what do we need to do to keep Jimmy G happy? Give him someone to throw to. Now, that's a lot of money to pay a guy $20 million a year. 49ers have that room. They have the most cap room in the NFC. Now, are they willing to part with the number 9 pick plus whatever else the Giants are asking? That's the key. How important is it to not only get him, but then you got to hope to sign him to a longer term deal? So the 49ers, I would say, would be the best fit right now in the NFC. In the AFC, now don't laugh, but what about the Browns? They have $71 million in cap space. That's the most in the NFL. They would absolutely overpay for OBJ. And OBJ absolutely wants to get the most money he can. You're looking at a team that has the most cap room, has a first, fourth, 33rd pick, so basically 3 first-rounders almost. They could part ways with any player. They could part ways with the picks. They're probably not going to get rid of number 1. They have, I don't know what other picks they have. I can't remember. They have a bunch in the top, in the first 3 rounds or so. A ton. I know I looked at it not that long ago. But they could sell all those picks and get OBJ. Because they have all that money on their books. I see Patriots fans speculating. They got rid of Cook so they could use those picks and go get OBJ. I don't know about that. I do not know about that. I don't think Belichick wants OBJ on the team. So, what are they going to do? Well, they have 4 picks now in the first 2 rounds. They're either going to continue to try and move up, and if they do that, there's someone there. I don't know if it's a quarterback. I don't know. Joe from the B.S.N seems to think that it's the dude from the linebacker from Georgia, Roquan or whatever his name is. He thinks Belichick really likes him. If they move up, they got to get top probably 12 to get him. If it's a quarterback, they got to move up a lot more. Or they could trade those picks and try and accumulate more second rounders, third rounders. They love those guys. I don't think the Patriots are going to pick with that 23rd pick. That pick is going to be used in a trade. Either we're going to move back and get a couple picks, or we're going to move up and get the guy that we want. We just need to inch our way up there. So, be on the lookout for more moves from the Patriots in the future, because I really think that they're gonna make some splashes to move up in the draft. If they move up in the draft, that's something that says a lot about whoever they end up picking, because they want that guy bad to move up that much. We're getting real close to the playoffs. NBA playoffs are getting real close. So, this is how I looked at it. I was looking at the standings with, 5 games left or so. There's a real good chance. All right, I won't say a real good chance. A real chance Cleveland and Golden State could be bounced before the conference finals. Cleveland could be out in the first round if they have to play Washington. Cleveland, who doesn't look great, I really don't think is going to have an easy time with any team in the first round. But if they play the Wizards, I think that's the best shot for them to get knocked out in the first round. There's a better chance for Cleveland to get knocked out in the first round than Golden State, I'll tell you that. And Golden State's not healthy. They're far from healthy. And they're looking like they might have to play now. It's still wide open. As of the last time I looked, they would play the 7th seed, which is Minnesota. Minnesota could beat them, could knock them off with Cat, with Wiggins. If Butler comes back, Teague comes back, they're a really tough team to beat. Now, do I think they're going to lose to beat Golden State? No. But they could give them a run for their money. Also, there's a real possibility that Philly makes the finals. I don't really see any team out of the East as a clear-cut favorite. I think there's 5 teams in the East that could legitimately go to the finals. Toronto's 1. Boston's 2, Cleveland's 3, Philly's 4. So your top 4 seeds could go. I really do think Washington could make a push. So those are the 5 teams that could, honestly, if any of those teams represented the East, I would not be surprised. Personally, I want Boston, clearly. But if Boston doesn't, anyone but Cleveland is what I'm hoping for. And as much as the East is wide open, the West, that's a 2-team race. Especially if Golden State's healthy, that's a 2-team race. Houston or Golden State. And you know what? I don't want either of them to get bounced early. I want both of them full strength, Western Conference Finals, best of 7. That will be the best series in the playoffs. Western Conference Finals, I will tune into every game. And if I can't tune into it for whatever reason, I will probably record it to watch it because it's going to be offensive, just powers. I want to see Chris Paul. I want to see the Beard. I want to see Durant. I want to see all these guys at their best. I don't want to see another episode of James Harden walking up and down the court, not trying like he did last year. I want to see all out, diving all over the place, blood, sweat, and tears to go to the finals. Playoffs start next Saturday. So we're really getting down to, the nitty-gritty of the season. Most teams have solidified their spot. It's either for seeding now. Obviously, if you're 7, 8, 9, or 7, 8, you probably haven't solidified it yet, but you're close. Teams on the outside, you really got to start winning games. I think right now, the team that I am the most concerned about from the Eastern Conference, for Boston's sake, I will say, for Boston's sake, the team I'm worried about the most is probably Philly. Obviously, anytime you got to play LeBron, you hate it. Philadelphia is a tough team. So I wouldn't mind seeing a Philadelphia, Houston, or Boston, Houston, Golden State, Cleveland. I'm getting tired of it. And frankly, I don't think we're going to see it this year. So next Saturday we'll start the show. We'll see if that happens. But let's move on.
Yes, it's done! Are you sure what's the final score? Miami by 4! You covered! 12! I covered! Yes!
What is against the spread? The spread?
To the against the spread section. So I got a few things that I want to talk about. I'm going to talk about the Masters. Super excited for the Masters as always. Augusta in April. It sounds right. It feels right. It's the best time. It's the best tournament. I've been waiting for it. I watched the par 3 event today. So I'm super excited for the Masters this weekend. And I'm also super excited because Tiger is back. So let's talk about the Masters to start it off. We'll also talk baseball as well. But the beginning of the week, I looked at the odds. I don't know what they are now. Assuming they're relatively similar. You might get a few different ones. But here's the favorites. And this kind of surprised me. So Jordan Spieth is one of the favorites at 10-1. Tiger Woods is the other at 10-1. So Jordan Spieth and Tiger are the two favorites for the Masters, which is really surprising because Spieth hasn't played tremendous, and Tiger, yes, he's been playing well, and I'm glad, and I really do hope that he's in the hunt on Sunday. But you have names like Bubba, DJ, even Justin Thomas is playing really well, Rory. It's really hard for me to say that Tiger's a favorite over those guys. So they're 10-1 favorites. 12-1 odds. You have DJ, Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, and Rory are 12-1. 15-1 lefty, two lefties, Bubba and Phil. 20-1 you have Jason Day. 33-1 you have Sergio. And then I have two sleepers for you guys. Two sleepers. So the first one is 80-1 odds. You throw $10 on him, he wins, you win $800. Not a bad deal. Not a bad 4 days on the course. So my sleeper 80-1 right now is Patrick Cantlay. Big time driver. Averages 304 off the tee. Here is why I think he's going to be in the hunt on Sunday. In every single strokes gained category, he's positive. That's huge. Not only that, but every stroke event, I should say, he's played in 2018, he's made the cut. So he's one of those guys quietly could be there on Sunday and be maybe on top of the leaderboard. The next sleeper is even more of an underdog, 125-1. You get greedy, throw $100 on this fella, you walk away with 12,500 bones. Gary Woodland. This man is another big time guy off the tee. Averages 312. His approach game is insane. Not Tiger good, but it's good. Which leads to him being third in greens in regulation this year. He's 125-1 odds right now because he hasn't played extremely well of late. But if he can get on the big stage, stay in the fairway, approach game looks good, he could be right there on Sunday as well. So those are my two sleepers, Gary Woodland, Patrick Cantlay. If those two don't win, I'm going for my man Tiger. I want Tiger to win. I want him back in the green jacket, but I would love to see one of these underdogs win as well. So the last part of the against the spread section is I'm going to pick my division winners. I'm going to go with my wild cards. And I'm also going to give you guys my MVP, who are the favorites, who I like to win, also Cy Young, and then we'll wrap up against the spread with that. So, for division winners, I have the Yankees winning the AL East. Honestly, they're not playing super well right now, but I just think with Stanton and Judge and Sanchez and Didi Gregorius, who I am infatuated with, I think he's fantastic. I think he might be their best hitter, like pure hitter. I think he might be number one. And I'm a big guy. I'm a big fan of his. I was huge in my projections of him this year. I think he's going to do fantastic. He helped me and showed me that he was going to do fantastic, hitting a couple home runs yesterday and driving in a bunch of runs. So that felt good. I just think even if their pitching doesn't do great, there's no reason they're not scoring 4 or 5 runs a game. The AL Central, I have the Indians. I just think the Indians they're the best team in the Central by far, probably overall in the AL, with Kluber and Lindor, Jose Ramirez, not even close to Justin. I don't even know where I got that from. The Indians are probably the 4th best team in the AL. Probably the 4th best team in the AL. But they're going to win that division. Not the greatest division, the AL Central. So they could easily win that, having a average season for them, which would be a great season for anyone else in that division. I think the Twins are the next best team in that division. And I'm not really... They had a good year last year. I'm not sold that they can do it back-to-back years. They might, but I'm not sold on it. And then the AL West, no shock here. I already talked about it a little bit. They're looking like the best team in baseball. The Astros. That rotation, the lineup, I can't say enough about that team. I really can't. So the Astros are just, I think, head and shoulders above everybody else in the AL West. My wild card picks. I have the Red Sox winning the wild card, finishing a game or two behind the Yankees. Not a dramatic. They're not going to be down 10 games or anything like that. I think it's going to be a close race till the end, which will be awesome. And then this one is more of, I just want to see it happen, as opposed to I really believe it could happen. I'm going with the Angels. And here's why. I really, 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 really want to see Mike Trout in a playoff game, in a playoff situation, in a playoff series, more than a wild card game, more than just I want to see him make a run and see what he could do. Like Mike Trout in the World Series, I want to see it. So I'm picking the Angels just purely because I want to see Mike Trout in the playoffs. Selfish, really. Selfish reasons. The NL East, really the Nationals. Bryce Harper's playing out of his mind. He was doing the same thing last year. Might be slightly better this year, but he was having a tremendous season last year until he got hurt. So if he can stay healthy this year, there's a really good chance he's MVP, and there's a really good chance that if he has a quote-unquote contract breakout season that everyone always has, he could be a $400 million guy. First one in baseball. 10, 12 years, however, many years he wants to go for, $400 million total. I mean, he's going to back up the Brinks truck, honestly. He's that good. He's top 3 player in baseball, honestly, in my opinion. The NL Central, the Cubs are going to get back. The Cubs are going to win it. They're going to get back into the playoffs. They're going to have a great season again. I'm a little concerned of how close. I think the Central is going to be closer than people think. I don't think the Cubs are going to win like 100 games or anything like that. But I don't think, we're not going to have the Pirates. We're not going to have, definitely not the Reds. We're not going to have the Cards, Milwaukee. I just don't think anyone's really going to be good enough to challenge the Cubs in the Central. So I'm going Cubs all the way. And out West, I'm going with the Dodgers. They have a fantastic lineup. Anytime you can put Kershaw on the mound, you got a shot to win, 30 ball games just because he's going to be pitching. That's a pretty good start. As 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the rotation can not completely suck. So the Dodgers are my favorite for the NL West. My wild card. Oh man, this one's harder. I'm definitely going Diamondbacks. You know what? I'm going to go with the Dodgers. 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 You know what? I'm going to go with the Dodgers. 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 I'm going to go I'm going to go Giants. I think they're going to pick it up. I think they're going to turn it around. And I think they're going to make the wild card after a pretty bad year. I was almost thinking like, I thought Milwaukee, I thought maybe the Cardinals, just because, they always turn it around pretty quick. The Braves are really unique to me. They're a really talented ball club. I'm gonna stay with the Giants. I'm staying with the Giants and the Diamondbacks for that. Moving on to the individual awards. AL MVP. It's really three names that are your favorites. It's Trout, Altuve, and Stanton. I mean, they're the most obvious ones. Personally, Trout is almost like LeBron. I mean, he's similar to LeBron, where he's the best player in baseball. So you could give it to him every year. I'm going to give it to Altuve this year. I want Altuve to be if I really were to make a bold statement, and I really don't think this is going to happen, but I really do believe Altuve is going to be, if there's one during this generation, Altuve is going to be the next 300 or 400 hitter. If we see one in the next decade or ever again, Altuve is going to be the guy that's a 400 hitter. He'll probably be the batting champion this year in the AL. He's playing on the best team. I just don't see another reason why not to give it to him. I will say, if Xander continues with his approach with launch angles, hitting doubles like he is, if he gets more lift, starts hitting some home runs, he could finish top 5. He's not going to finish top 3 probably, but he could definitely finish top 5 this year, which will be awesome for him to get back into that level of play. The NL, the 3 favorites are Harper, Arenado, and Cody Bellinger. And I'm going with Harper. If the dude stays healthy, it's a contract year for him. He's playing well on a good team. Everything points to him having a MVP season, having a career year, honestly. I don't see why Harper wouldn't win. For the Cy Young, the 2 favorites, again, no surprise. Chris Sale or Corey Kluber. The only reason that I'm not, I don't know who it's going to be out of these 2. The only reason I would lean Kluber is I think the production he's going to get from the lineup is going to be a little bit better. If Sale starts getting the production that he deserves, which he didn't get it last year, and he's starting out this year not getting it, Sale should be a 20-game winner. Should be. And I mentioned this before, should be. He'll win 16, 17 ball games. He should be 2-0 right now. He's not. One thing I will say, we do have in the top 5 for favorites to win the Cy Young, Ohtani. I don't think he's going to finish top 5. I think it's going to take him a little bit longer to figure it out. He might be, top 5 for Cy Young next year. But in his first year, I think it's really hard for him to be top 5 unless he turns it around in an incredible fashion, which I'm clearly happy to eat my words on that. I'm just not impressed enough with him to say he's a Cy Young candidate already. NL, Cy Young. Very clear that Kershaw is going to be your favorite for everyone. I'm not going with Kershaw. I'm going with Max Scherzer. I think the Nats are going to sweep the NL MVP, and I think they're going to take the Cy Young as well. I watched his first matchup, or his first outing, and he looked incredible. He's one of those guys, he plays because he loves the game. He plays with passion. He knows how to pitch. And when I say that, people are like, what does that mean? He's not a guy that just throws hard. There are guys in professional baseball, on the Red Sox even, I'll even say that don't know how to pitch. They know how to throw the ball. They know how to throw the ball hard, which is great, but they don't know how to pitch. And I'll just start here. Scherzer is I think is gonna win the Cy Young, but back to Red Sox, just because I know a lot of Red Sox fans listen to this. Watch, especially bullpen guys, if you haven't noticed it already. Guys that were flamethrowers last year, i.e. Joe Kelly and stuff like that, might be struggling a little bit because they're mixing up pitches a little bit more. I think that's, don't get me wrong, it's super frustrating now. They're learning how to pitch. They're getting a feel and learning how to pitch. So in August, in September, in October, they're not just throwing 3 fastballs and blowing leads. And the new pitching coach for the Sox is the real deal. So I know it's super frustrating, but think about it next time you watch the game. Watch how they're pitching, guys, compared to what you remember from last year, the year before, everything like that. It is different, but it's going to bode well later in the year. So just my little take on what's going on with especially the Red Sox pitching. They're learning how to pitch when before they were just going out there and throwing the ball as hard as they could. What to watch for? Real quick, the Masters. I mean, how simple is that? You got 4 days of golf, 4 days of the greatest golf tournament going on this weekend. Gotta watch it. Baseball is back. It's in full effect. We're getting ready. I know the Northeast just got hit with some snow. New York's games got canceled the other day because of it. Apparently, the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast are going to get hit again, maybe on Saturday, which is unbelievable. Winter, I know you guys are sick of it. I'm sick of it as well. But spring's coming. Spring is coming. We got golf. We got baseball. You know that the warmth is coming. We're getting to that time of year where, everything's starting to wind down, NFL-wise. So, really, other than baseball and the Masters, this week, watch the wrap-up of the NBA season. Check out seedings for that. And then we'll start getting into some playoffs for NBA. We'll start getting into more baseball. The World Cup will be coming up. Not that I know a ton about soccer, but there's a lot of good money to be won in the World Cup. So we'll get into all that stuff as we get through the spring into the summer. Some stuff to look forward to, guys. Have a great rest of your week. I hope everyone also had a great Easter. I forgot to mention that. I ate a ton of jelly beans, and I wish I had more, but I'm out, guys. Until next time, guys. Take care.